We have a wonderful place in Prescott, Prescott Station Grill and Bar, but hey, who knew it is becoming a steakhouse? We have Robert Gabrick with us. Nice to have you on, Robert.
Pleasure to be here.
So it's going into a steakhouse? Why?
Oh, no. We're not going into a steakhouse. You'll still be able to get all the same great things that we had before, but as our menu morphs. So this is some changes to our summertime menu. And we kind of follow the flow of what our customers want, and we have gradually, we never intended to be a steakhouse, become a steakhouse as more and more people come in, as everybody around town are recommending us as a steakhouse. And because I'm kind of nuts that way, the more I hear, the more I have to do.
Okay, so the customers have demanded it, and you have it, and you have specialty meats. Tell us a little bit about, because you've been to a big convention thing, you've gotten some really interesting meat cuts here.
Yes. Part of the focus is going to be on dry aged, and what we have here, we're going to be reintroducing Colorado lamb chops, and we're able, because of our relationship with our meat cutter, to get really nice big eyes instead of the really tiny eyes where you only get a bite.
Yeah, a lot of
meat. What we have here is dry aged. Dry aged is a process where it's kept in a cooler and its moisture is slowly drawn from it. This is 45-day dry aged lamb, and the dry aged part of it goes perfectly with the gaminess of the lamb.
Because it intensifies the flavor somehow,
right,
this
because
dry...
the dry age, I call it like a royal funk. It adds a funk to it that is very, very unique. And
then the wet. What's the difference with the wet aging?
Well, almost all steaks that you get are at least 30-day wet aged. And basically, they're just cryovac and kept in a cooler and for 30 days before they're even released to you. And then even if it takes you 10, 15 days to sell something, until you open that cryovac, it's just aging.
Because meat is better aged.
Right.
Red meat is better aged.
Right.
Okay, and so here's an example. That's the wet. This is the dry again. Now, what is this, Robert?
What you have here is our normal Arizona-grown New York. And then this is our prime 75-day dry aged bone-in New York.
Again, just a better flavor, a different flavor, a different intense.
Right.
And then this is looks like a beautiful T-bone.
This is our Arizona-grown prime porterhouse.
Beautiful. Okay. And now, do these cook up differently? And are they so, are they more expensive because they're kind of top of the cut, if you will?
Well, yes, and it's always a risk. Whenever you decide to go out of the norm and offer somebody something special, you pay more. And so some of these I can't even tell you, because the screens would break and everything would shatter, how much we pay for some of this stuff. But we've looked at ourselves and we've become kind of like Prescott's special occasion restaurant for birthdays, anniversaries, when people are in town. And we wanted to represent the best that we can find, and that we're the experts. If you want to have an extraordinary experience, we'll offer it to you.
And the availability, and this is sort of education. Like you're teaching me a lot. I didn't know about the wet aging versus the dry aging of meat.
And if you saw dry aged, it sits in a cooler and air circulates around it, and it just keeps contracting and getting this funk on top of it, this crust, this nasty, gnarly crust. And then when the meat cutters trim it off, that's what emerges.
Okay, and they do that, it takes some of the moisture out, but why? Why do that?
Oh, you'd have to taste it, because that royal funk that I said is pretty spectacular. But you have to experience it.
So you mean royal funk in a good way?
In a very good way. And I can't say that if you're a steak lover, that it's the steak that you'd want to have every day, but it's definitely the steak that you'd want to have for a very special occasion when you want that memorable meal.
Okay, and this right here is what?
This right here is our Arizona-grown ribeye steak.
And then this is Wagyu, and it's very special, and we're going to talk about this when we come back, Robert, because you're going to cook some of that up for us.
That's right. That's
Wagyu.
Wagyu calf steak.
All right. We'll be right back with an exciting new thing for you. So as promised, we are going to see what a very special Japanese cut of meat is, how you cook it up and season it. It's called Wagyu. All right, not like a dog's tail. This is amazing meat. So Robert Gabrick back with Prescott Station Grill and Bar, and also our head chef Stanley Berger. Okay, so this is magic meat. What is this?
It's totally magic meat. This particular cut is called zobaton, and it was a Japanese cut up until it was just recently brought into the United States. And it lends itself perfectly, we think, to this instant cut that can cook in just seconds. And Stanley's going to perform this for you while...
Going to show us how to... No, this is amazing. It's absolutely beautiful. The marbling here is phenomenal. It's very, very thin. So show us how you do this, Stanley, because it just goes really fast, doesn't it?
Really fast.
Yeah. And you're going to do this as a taste. You can get a little bit of a taste of this Wagyu.
Right. Our goal is that this is going to be an appetizer because the price of Wagyu meat is extreme.
Because the way they feed and
exactly.
it.
Right. It's a very special breed, how they feed it, how they're taken care of, and just the amount of Wagyu that is available. And so this is a way for somebody to get a sample of the great flavor, and you saw the marbling. It's spectacular.
And it's great. It's no longer imported then, and they actually have this in the U.S.
Right. There's several farms, 3 farms actually, in the United States that actually raise this cattle.
Oh, nice. Okay. And it's kind of brand new then. I mean, this is not real well known.
It actually, in the 1980s, we started, meaning America started growing it, but most of it went back to Japan. Then as the buzzword of tariffs started happening, then we started being able to have it available to us. So it's become more available to us now than it's ever been. And so we're now able to offer it in small quantities in some of the better restaurants.
Yes. This just cooks up so fast. It's hardly in there. Go ahead, Stan.
No.
Just don't let me interrupt. I'll just put it so we can see it.
Paper thin.
I mean, seriously, you just barely put it in, and then it browns on one side because it's so delicate. Does it keep it more tender to cook it like that fast?
Oh, sure. Right. And the fat, one of the secrets of Wagyu is the melting point of the fat. And so it takes very little heat to melt that fat. So what we want to do is just get it to the right consistency.
And flip it. Oh my goodness. Okay, and then once it's on the plate like this, how do you season this up? Because it looks like it's a hair bit rare, just because it's so fast and so delicate, right?
Well, what we're doing is that we want to emphasize the flavor of the meat. So what we've done is that we've come up with a variety of different salts. And so you want to tell them which ones are which?
Let's see, we've got some espresso salt with our signature house rub. I believe we've got a white truffle or a black truffle. And then what, Szechuan?
No, smoke alder.
Smoke alderwood salt, yeah.
And so the salt is really all that you, you're finishing that guy up.
That's all. You really don't need a lot of seasoning. You want to celebrate the flavor of the meat itself. You can pair it with a nice salt.
Okay, and so you just sprinkle salt on,
just
cut
a
those in
little
little
bit.
pieces, and that's your appetizer.
There you go.
Wagyu. Who knew?
Who knew?
It's a wonderful.
Well, but Prescott people deserve to know.
That's right. Prescott Station Grill and Bar, Robert Gabrick, and also Stanley Berger. Thank you for introducing us to this amazing stuff. All right, don't go away. More fun on Arizona Daily Mix.